People will often throw around the idea that having military experience on a resume looks really good and will help you land the job. But does it really help you get a job on the civilian side? Well, let's talk about that. Sometimes it can, but sometimes nobody cares that you were in the Army, in the Navy, in the Air Force, or whatever branch of service that you serve in. So sometimes it does not help you. I just mainly want to kind of clarify some things because sometimes people think that just blanketedly, if I have military experience, I put that on my resume, I'm going to have a better chance of getting hired over somebody who does not have military experience on my resume, and that is not always going to be the case. In some recent videos, I've actually seen some people talking about this, where they're talking about how I was in the military for X amount of years, I applied at, let's say, one of the examples I saw, Home Depot, and they did not care that I had military experience. In fact, I've even seen some people say that it hurt them, that they didn't even want anybody from like military experience to work for them because of certain kind of factors. In one of the comments I saw someone mentioning that they were told, maybe possibly by somebody at that company or by somebody else, that they didn't want to hire veterans because maybe they had anger issues, maybe because they had higher expectations, or maybe some other things. So in some cases like that, maybe it does not actually help you by having that military experience. Maybe it does actually hurt you a little bit. But typically, I figure if you're putting military experience down on your resume, that's not probably something that you're trying to put on there because you're trying to land a great job at Home Depot, at Walmart, at certain other kind of places where they don't give a crap about your leadership experience. They don't care about your time in the field on deployments or whatever. In some cases, maybe Lowe's or whatever kind of places, Home Depot, do care that you have leadership experience because it helps you be like a manager type of position, possibly. But in a lot of cases, they don't care. They don't care that you have military experience. So who does care if you have military experience? Typically, that is going to come from other military type of jobs, contracting jobs, government jobs, that sort of thing does care that you have military experience, and that will help you get that job. So if you're trying to apply for some kind of civilian position on a local military installation, and it's to help train soldiers, like for example, what I do for my civilian job, I train soldiers, that specifically needs to have military experience. Other types of federal jobs, they want that military experience. You're trying to work for the FBI, you're trying to work for the CIA. Those are a lot bigger kind of level type of things, but those do commonly kind of require or prefer military experience for those kind of jobs. So no, it's not going to be every single job. Not every single job is going to have an advantage by you having military experience. There could also be some employers that have like military preferences on their kind of like resumes or on their, job descriptions. There are also some employers that do actually get tax incentives or government incentives by hiring veterans, especially like disabled veterans. So veterans that have at least 10% VA disability or more, they get sometimes tax incentives. So sometimes they do want to hire veterans, even if it may not apply to the job, because it lands them some special like incentives from the government. Some of it is all about phrasing it the right way. Phrasing it the right way inside of your resume to make it more appealing to that civilian employer, right? Simply just saying that I did some badass shit and I was in the Army and I deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, I got some cool weapons training kind of a thing. That's not gonna matter to certain employers. So you have to find think of it as work experience, not just specifically military experience. How does your work experience of doing your job in the Army apply to whatever it is you're trying to get? If it doesn't really apply, then it's probably not that big of a bullet that you want to really spend a lot of time on your resume to be able to lay out all this information, because it's not going to apply to that civilian job. But if it does, there's certain things like leadership qualities, certain things like accountability and everything that does maybe apply to that job, then that's when it's really good to make sure to apply that military experience for that civilian job to hopefully make it look a little bit nicer for your experience you had in the military. Some people might think that because you're a non-commissioned officer in the United States Army, that's going to allow you to just easily get like some kind of great job on the civilian side to be a manager or whatever kind of a thing, because you have that experience of accountability to be able to lead soldiers, to actually be able to lead employees type of thing. And like I said, some employers don't really care. They don't care if you had military experience as a leader and you're trying to get some kind of retail job, for example. They don't care. It's not the same kind of really oranges and apples, potato type of thing, I guess. If you're looking for your military experience to really count for the civilian world, then that's when you're going to want to try to look for jobs working for the government, working at a military installation as a civilian type of thing, because that is where people are actually going to appreciate that. Because like at my job, all of the people that I work with are veterans of some sort, either Army, Air Force, I think we might have some Navy personnel type of thing, but they appreciate what we've done. They know, because they've done it, what kind of experience we've gone through and how that might apply to the job. My boss is a retired lieutenant colonel, so he knows what it's like to have, that kind of experience and how it'll help for what we do. Your boss at Lowe's, at whatever kind of other company you're trying to get, doesn't probably have that same appreciation unless they themselves were a military veteran. So if they're not a military veteran, then they probably don't care about your military experience. So you really are gonna have to cater that job that you wanna get to applying your military experience, to trying to get that job based on what it is. Or if you're just trying to get some kind of corporate job, some kind of civilian job type of thing, where it's not working with the military, not working with the government, then it may not be that big of an issue to emphasize a lot of your military experience, because they might not care. If it is something trying to get like a government job, military job, then yeah, you have a better chance that your supervisors that are looking to hire people have a better understanding of why your military experience can be beneficial to them at their company, at their workplace or whatever. But don't always just expect that because you have military experience, you're gonna be ahead of everybody else, you're gonna be able to land this job, you're gonna look great. I was a non-commissioned officer, I was a first sergeant. Sometimes they don't care. It's discouraging, but you just have to make sure you apply everything. That's why there are classes when you go to get out of the Army to help you build your resume and how to apply that military experience to the civilian side, how to write it properly into like your resume. So it's very key that when you are getting out of the Army, that you take your time to go through those classes and learn as much as you can. That way you can build that better resume for when you go to get out and try to get a civilian job. I am fairly fortunate to where my first job getting out of the Army is the job that I still do. I've been doing it for quite a while, so I got pretty lucky with that, and I didn't have to hunt a lot for a job. I mean, there was a lot of hunting for a job at the beginning, but getting the job that I got now is pretty good. It requires military experience, so that's where it becomes a big factor. So I was fairly fortunate to not have to experience too much of getting turned down or people not caring about my military experience type of thing. But there's probably some of you out there that maybe have gone through that, where you have put down your military experience and your employer didn't care about all these amazing things you did in the Army. So I want to hear from you guys out there, from you guys in the community, my veteran viewers out there. What was some of your experience when you got out of the Army trying to get a job? Did your employer care about your military experience? Did you get a job where it probably doesn't care? Or if you did end up in a situation where you got something like I got, where I work on a military installation, work with the government, they did care about it. And how did you kind of apply that on your resume to try to make it more appealing type of thing? So drop me some comments down below for my individuals out there that had that experience. What was your experience like with having military experience on your resume? If you have any other type of questions, just drop those down in the comment section down below. I'll do my best to try to get to the ones that I can. And if I can't answer your questions, then maybe some of my viewers out there can help me out and answer some questions. So leave me some questions. Now, before you take off, I highly recommend you soak in a lot of information that I have to provide here on this channel. In fact, I've got a video right here that YouTube says is pretty awesome. So if you want to watch this video, I think it's probably pretty good, amazing, probably. I don't know. Check out my links down in the description box down below. Thanks for hanging out. I'm Christopher Chaos, and I'll see you next time. See ya.